Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. And Open Mic is the all-open forum discussion show where we just take live questions all the time. You know, on the John Campea Show, our movie news show in the afternoon, we save a little bit of time for some live questions. But here on the Open Mic Show, we take nothing but live questions. Want to give you guys a little bit of a programming note. So, as many of you guys know, on Sunday night, we did our 2.5 hour long Infinity War open spoiler discussion video. It went over so well that a bunch of you guys asked us to do another one. So I am going to do another one. Today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that's 7 p.m. East Coast time, we are going to have round 2 of the open spoiler discussion of Avengers Infinity War, because I even put up a poll about it and like over 80% of you guys said, yes, do another one. So we're going to do another one. So here's what we're going to do. If you remember Sunday, there were a whole bunch of questions we still didn't get to. So I was going to do kind of a follow-up video to that. But when everybody asked us to do another video, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do tonight's live discussion as well. And then I'm going to take all the unanswered stuff from Sunday's video and all the unanswered stuff from tonight and put them into a part 3. And that'll be pre-recorded. So live on Sunday, live tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then we're going to take all the leftover questions, stuff that didn't get addressed on Sunday's video and tonight's video, put them into one big monster video. And that'll be our part 3. So part 1 was Sunday, part 2 tonight, part 3 will go up online tomorrow, and that one will be pre-recorded, not live. So if you still want to talk more Avengers Infinity War in an open, spoiler-allowed environment, today, 4 p.m., we're going to do that. And of course, don't forget the John Campea Show, going over all the movie news, is at 2 p.m. So with that out of the way, let's dive in to our live questions today. And we're getting started with this one. This one comes to us from Manuel Fernandez, who writes, speaking of which, when will the other Infinity War spoiler questions be answered? So the leftover ones from Sunday, Ann and I are going to record a video later tonight, like after our next live stream. We're going to record later tonight a video taking all of the leftover ones from Sunday and all of the leftover ones from tonight to make a part 3. So that video will go online tomorrow. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, next up comes to us from Les Watch, who writes, have you seen the new Ant-Man trailer? Really funny indeed after all the stuff in Infinity War. I did watch the new Ant-Man trailer. Now, those of you who've been watching me for any period of time, you know, I like the first Ant-Man movie more than most people. I adore that movie. Love it. What Peyton Reed did with that movie, especially after all the turmoil, with Edgar Wright was going to be directing it. He goes off, all that kind of stuff. Peyton Reed, I thought, came in and did a magnificent job in that movie. Paul Rudd was perfect casting for that. Michael Douglas was great, and Evangeline Lilly was great. Michael Pena's character became one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't love this new Ant-Man trailer. I didn't love it. As a matter of fact, it's raised some concerns with me. That one shot of the ant at the drum kit? Really? I mean, I don't know. Look, the MCU has never steered me wrong. And Peyton Reed did a magnificent job in the first film, so I'm going to give him all the benefit of the doubt. But if I'm going to be honest, I did not love this new Ant-Man trailer. Just to be honest with you. It had its moments. It had some moments like the Michael Pena. Remember? We're the guys who you were robbed? That was us. Like, that was great. I can watch an hour of Michael Pena playing that character in this movie. But yeah, I gotta admit, overall, I wasn't thrilled with it. The stuff at the end there with Lawrence Fishburne, that was nice. Some of the action looked pretty good. But yeah, overall, I wasn't wowed with it, especially after yesterday when they had all of a whole ton of the Avengers cast talking about where was Ant-Man to set up today's trailer. Like, I was expecting something, to use the E word, epic. I was expecting something amazing. And maybe a lot of you guys loved it. I don't know. It doesn't matter how much I love the first one. I got to admit, I just got to be honest with you guys, wasn't thrilled with it. So, but here's hoping I'll get more on board with it later on. I'm going to be there opening night no matter what, because I love Ant-Man. But I'm just going to be honest with you, didn't love the trailer so far, but it's just a trailer. We've seen lots of trailers that didn't get us going so well, and then we end up loving the movie, right? So I'm hoping that's going to be one of the cases here. All right, next up. Murray for Us writes, Is Ant-Man 2 taking place before or during Infinity War? If it is taking place before, then shouldn't they have shouldn't they have released this film before Infinity War? Well, it all depends. We don't know. Look, a part of this film happens before the events of Infinity War. I think a part of this film happens during the events of Infinity War. I'm not really clear on that. But shouldn't they have released it before Infinity War? Well, it all depends. We got to see the movie. We can't make any kind of a proclamation like they should have put this movie out before Infinity War when we haven't seen the movie yet. So, yes, a good chunk of it happens before the events of Infinity War. But maybe once we see Ant-Man, we'll realize, oh, this is why they released it in the order that they did. So there's no point in us trying to speculate about shouldn't they have done this or shouldn't they have done that when we haven't even watched the movie yet. Now, if we watch the movie, then we can start having discussions of they should have done this and they should have done that. We can do that once we've seen the movie, but until we see the movie, we can't really have those discussions. We can talk about what we hope it's going to be. We can talk about what it looks like it's going to be. We can talk about all that kind of stuff. But talking about what they should have done is a pointless conversation to have at this point when we haven't even seen the movie yet. So let's take a breath on that. Yes, obviously in my head, hey, if this movie just is all prequel and just all happens before Infinity War, maybe it should have come first. But we got to see the movie first. But by that logic, well, Captain Marvel happens in the 90s. Shouldn't it have come out before? We got to go there too, right? So let's just wait and see, Murray. Let's wait and see Ant-Man. Then we can start having those discussions about what they should have done. Until then, it would just be kind of pointless. All right. Ezekiel Fuentes Jr. writes, Anne should use the gauntlet, snap her fingers, and make the Thanos hot toy appear for everyone. I kid you not. I had a good discussion with Anne yesterday. Anne and I were out for dinner last night. And I'm like, but by the way, were you serious about that Thanos toy? She was, I think so. Like, how much does it cost? I'm like, I'm not sure, maybe $400 or $500. And I opened it up and it was like $380. I'm like, it's $380. She's like, yeah, I get it. So I'm like, really? Really? I can get it? She's, yeah, I get it. So I'm going to get that Thanos toy. I don't buy many, but I've got to get that Thanos toy. And it's got to sit right beside my Infinity Gauntlet glove right here. Too bad you can't see the whole glove there. I love that gauntlet. Anne got me that gauntlet as a gift. I love that gauntlet so much. So Anne figuratively snapped her fingers last night, and lo and behold, I can get that Thanos toy. I'm drooling. I cannot wait to have that thing. Okay. Benny95 writes, John, love the show and keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much, Benny. Would be awesome if the Hugh Jackman cameo in Deadpool 2 was part of the recruitment scene we see in the trailers. Okay, first of all, let's be clear. We don't know that there's going to be a Hugh Jackman cameo scene, okay? I got to make that disclaimer there, Benny, just because the way you worded it made it sound like, oh, well, we know there's a Jackman cameo. Well, we don't know that. We're hoping, I'm guessing there's going to be a Hugh Jackman cameo. But I got to tell you, I didn't even think about that. That would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect. If in that montage of everybody coming in to audition for this new X-Force team, if Hugh Jackman comes in, well, I got claws and I heal pretty fast. And then Deadpool makes some kind of degrading joke about him, something, then he leaves. I didn't even think about that, Benny. That is a great idea. I will die in the theater if that's a great setup. I love the notion. Love the idea. Let's Watch writes, no question, just sending the love. You're great, Giovanni. Even though we don't agree on some things, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the best show. Well, and that's the thing, Let's Watch. What's the point of agreeing? What's the fun in agreeing about everything? That's not the point. I don't want people to agree with me every time. Look, and my point, I make this point all the time. My job as a pundit is not to say things you agree with. And my job as a pundit is not to get you to agree with me. My job as a pundit is to state my opinion on something, give my reasons for that opinion, and hopefully present that in such a way that it helps you sharpen why you agree with me, or conversely helps you sharpen why you disagree with me. My job isn't to get you to agree with me. My job is to get you to better understand your own opinion about why you agree with me or why you disagree with me. If you disagree with me and me giving my opinion in such a way helps you more focus and better understand and sharpen your understanding of why you disagree with me, then great, I've done my job. Not to get you to agree with me, not at all. And that's the pure subjectivity of film. And that's a great thing. And yes, I watch every episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I still don't think it's a good show, but I'm glad you love it and I'm glad you like it. And I'm glad we can have our disagreements about it. That's the fun of being film fans. It's not agreeing on everything. It's having things we disagree about and being able to disagree in such a way that it's fun in the exchanges and we can call each other crazy or whatever, but it's all supposed to be fun. And we're all supposed to just have a good time with our own opinions about it. And that's the idea. And I'm glad you get it, man. So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. All right. Mary writes, John, in the UK, you can take food into the cinema, but I still see long queues in concession stands, which is good in response to Stephen from Scotland's earlier. Yeah, I didn't know that in the UK, you're allowed to bring food into theaters. To me, it seems counterintuitive. Like understanding that the movie theaters don't make hardly any money on the movie ticket price. The vast majority of that money goes back to the studios. The movie theaters make their money on concession stands. That's where they make their bread and butter, pardon the pun. So the fact that they actually let you do that in the UK, that's interesting. That is interesting. I mean, I'm always fascinated by these ideas that maybe doing something opposite to what you think would be intuitive can actually benefit you. Maybe opening up saying, hey, folks, you can bring your own food. Maybe that just encourages people to get in line at the concession stand and buy more. Maybe. It's an interesting thing. I'd love to see a study on that. All right. Benny95 writes, a while ago I commented time travel through quantum realm would help undo events in Infinity War, but you disagreed with me that about time travel as a theory. Have your thoughts changed? I think my theory will be right after all. Well, I mean, to be fair, Benny, there are millions of people out there who had that theory. And you're right, I wasn't one of them. I didn't subscribe to that theory. I still don't like the theory, but I mean, with the set pictures coming out that we saw, and in making it look like, I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Because in the set picture, we see Captain America in what was the Captain America costume of the first Avengers movie. But Tony looks older and wears a different kind of an outfit. So, I mean, I'm still not 100% sure they're doing time travel. I don't know what else they do. I mean, it kind of, after seeing Infinity War, now that makes sense. I'll be honest with you, though. I'm not a fan of time travel in movies. There are some exceptions, for sure. X-Men Days of Future Past was great with time travel. The original Terminator, great with time travel. Star Trek 4, great with time travel. There are exceptions. For the most part, I usually find time traveling plot hooks lazy. Like just lazy ways of trying to accomplish something. Oh, we'll do time travel. To me, it's lazy. But there are, I just named a few. There are some examples of it. It's really great. But yeah, it is starting to look like that's what they're going to do. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not thrilled about that. I would rather see them do something else, but who knows? Maybe it'll be fantastic. Maybe it'll be great. And by the way, we still don't know for sure. I mean, again, we're basing entire theories around out of context leaked set pictures, which almost always turn out to be wrong. Theories revolving around out of context behind the scenes leaked set photos are almost always wrong. So while I agree that those pictures coming out do kind of make it look that way, for sure they do, and I kind of am now thinking that's what they're going to do, I still would say let's be cautious about that because almost every time we base theories on behind the scenes leaked set photos, we're almost always wrong. And I just kind of hope that it's not time travel because I find that to be a lazy plot device. But who knows? Maybe it'll be another Terminator. Maybe it'll be another X-Men Days of Future Past, and they'll really use it and use it well and knock it out of the park. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm not gonna get myself twisted up thinking about it too much until I see something official coming from the studio. The good news is we're only a year away. We're only a year away from the next Avengers film. So that's the good news. We don't have terribly long to wait. And we got Ant-Man and the Wasp coming. We got Captain Marvel coming. Got a lot to look forward to. All right, next one comes to us from Alexander Helmer, who writes, in my opinion, Walton Goggins is underrated. He's a great actor. I don't think he's underrated because I think most people agree he's a great actor. I mean, for him to be underrated would have to mean that most people don't think he's a great actor. Almost everybody I talk to, when Walton Goggins come up. Now, maybe he's underknown. Maybe not enough people know who he is. But as far as underrated goes, like when you bring up Walton Goggins, most people go, oh yeah, hell man, that dude's great. So Underrated means people don't think he's as good as you think he actually is. But I think most people pretty much will acknowledge. Like, I know every discussion I've had with people, when Walton Goggins comes up, most of the time it's like, oh, hell yeah, he's great. Whether it was in this show or that show, or, oh my God, I will always remember him. Was his name Venus? In Sons of Anarchy, where he played the transvestite character, and he was so good in that. Oh my God, he was so good in that. Anyway, yeah, he's great. So I'll disagree with you that he's underrated, not because I don't think he's great, but because I think most people think he's great. So therefore, it's hard to call him underrated. Maybe underknown, but not underrated. Michael Ginyard writes, if you were on the run from a corrupt government agency, what movie scenario skill would you like to have? Driving, fighting, or computer hacking? Ooh, well, I think it depends on the era. If it was like 1970s, it would be fighting. If it was 1980s, driving. Modern, probably the best skill would be computer hacking. It would probably be computer, because no matter how good of a fighter you are, eventually enough guys get sent at you to take you down, eventually. But computer hacking, that's probably the best, which I am no good at stuff like that. That would be the thing that would probably keep you hidden. So I'll say in a modern, like if we were set in the 80s or 70s, I'd either take driving or fighting. But in the modern era, computer hacking. I'd totally take it. That's the one that would probably keep me off the radar. So I will go computer hacking. Let's see. Murray for Us writes, does anyone have any orange slices, Ant-Man? There's so many great moments. I swear. You know what? I'm going to do a revisit review on Ant-Man. I just realized I haven't done a revisit review on Ant-Man. It's time to do a revisit review of Ant-Man. I love that movie. Damn, I love that movie. So yes, revisit review of Ant-Man is coming. Keep your eyes open for that. Murray for Us writes, are they making a new James Bourne? I think you meant Jason Bourne. Are they making a new James Bourne movie? I don't know that they are. I know there are plans, or at least there were plans. Let's see here. Now, what I do know is this. There's a television series based on the James Bourne universe, and I believe it's Amazon. I remember we talked about it on the Movie News feed a couple of weeks ago, but I think it's called Treadstone. That's the name of the organization, right? Is it Treadstone? Is that the name of the organization in the Jason Bourne franchise? Anyway, it's going to be called that. It's going to be based on that organization. It's in the Jason Bourne universe. As far as whether or not there's more movies coming, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I do remember that television series is coming, so that's something for us to keep our eyes on. Let's see. Ben Rayner writes, John, the Kotobukiya Infinity War Thanos looks awesome and totally badass and really good price, under $100. Pre-order, might want to think about it. Well, hold on a second now. I didn't know Kotobukiya. We were just talking about Kotobukiya toys the other day. And I like Kotobukiya. I've actually got a couple. Those Stormtroopers there are Kotobukiya Stormtroopers, and they're great. And they were like $30. I mean, they were fantastic. So hold on a second. Let me look up the Kotobukiya Thanos to see. Oh my goodness. Is that a Kotobukiya? That looks great. And you guys are, show us. You'll have to, yeah, it's from the Artifacts. That's a Kotobukiya line, it's the Artifacts stuff. That does look great. I am curious about the size though. 11 inches tall, not bad. 1/10 scale. I like it. I might have to get my hands on that because, like, for under $100, why not? Thanks for the heads up, Ben. I appreciate that, and everybody else thanks you for the heads up too. That looks really good. And by the way, the Kotobukiya Artifact stuff is a good alternative to Hot Toys. Hot Toys are the better product, make no mistake, they are. But they're also like $300 a piece. Kotobukiya puts out some really, really nice stuff at a much more reasonable price. I would almost argue you're getting more bang for your buck for the Kotobukiya stuff. So if you're into toys and some good collectibles and you're looking for some good stuff to have on your desk, look into Kotobukiya and the Artifact series. It's really not bad. Let's see. Michael Ginyard writes, what is your favorite Batmobile? Probably the Tumbler is probably my favorite one. That's probably my favorite one. I mean, that to me, in Batman Begins, when I see it, I'm like, oh my God, that's like, this is awesome. Like, I just love it. So I think, yeah, the Tumbler is my favorite thing. KW Garrett writes, I'm so stoked for your 2-hour spoiler review this Sunday of Overboard remake. Is there a Kurt Russell cameo? Will they fall in love? So many questions. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Because I've already said, because we all seem to have so much fun with the 2-hour spoiler live discussion of Avengers Infinity War, I already mentioned that we're going to do the same for Deadpool 2, and we're going to do the same for Solo. And I think we'll do it for more, because I think we all had a lot of fun doing just open spoiler discussion. And it's more of a spoiler discussion than a spoiler review, right? I think we had a lot of fun doing the whole open spoiler discussion thing. So I think we're going to do it for more. But no, probably not for Overboard. Probably not that one. Let's see. Oh, had to jump. Let me go back here. Here we go. John G. writes, tired of people bashing the DCEU. Reboot, please. You have Supes and Batman. Love Man of Steel and really like Justice League, but enough is enough. We have to rebalance the universe. And look, you know me, dude, you are, Minister John G., you are preaching to the choir, brother. You know me. I am totally wanting a reboot of the DCEU. It is time for them to get back on level playing field with the MCU, and they're not going to do it with the hole they're in already. It's time to wipe the slate clean, start with a clean slate, and rebuild it the right way. And I agree with you, Man of Steel. You know me, I like Man of Steel more than Infinity War. I know everybody looks at me funny when I say that, but I do. I mean, I love Infinity War, but I just think Man of Steel is a masterpiece of the genre and a grossly underrated movie. But despite that, and as much as I would love to see Man of Steel 2, for a healthy DC cinematic universe, I fully believe they need to reboot, and that's why I want them to reboot so badly. Because I'm getting sick and tired of the only comic book movies everybody's really looking forward to are the Marvel titles. I'm tired of it. It's time for everybody to also be excited for the DC stuff, and that's not going to happen now because there's too much of a bad taste in too many people's mouths about it, just sticking as it is. So I agree with you, John G. It's time for them to reboot it. Orange Hand writes, will the Marvel Netflix shows be affected by Infinity War? It's difficult to say much because this is not a spoiler environment for us to talk about it. I don't think so. I think there will be reference to the events of Infinity War without direct consequences. So that's what I think they're going to do, because that's the way they've always handled the Netflix shows. References, no direct interaction or impact. So that's kind of the way I see it. Derek Large writes, thoughts on the news of John Cena starring in the lead role of the Janssen Directive with The Rock producing? So this news just came out a few hours ago. We'll probably talk about it more on the John Campea show a little bit later today. But The Rock was going to be appearing in this new movie adaptation of a novel series called The Janssen Directive. Now, it's written by the same guy who wrote the Bourne movies, or who wrote the Bourne novels. Is the same guy who wrote these Janssen novels. And it's about a former Navy SEAL, I believe it is. This Janssen guy, he's a former Navy SEAL who now works private security, and something goes wrong, and now he's the object of a lot of nonsense going on. So The Rock was supposed to be starring it, I believe, and his production company's producing it, but he's had to back out of it. He's still one of the producers on it, but he backed out of it, and The Rock announced this morning that John Cena is going to take over the role. How do I feel about it? Not sure. I think John Cena's been finding his stride in comedy. I thought he was okay in Blockers. I really liked Blockers. John Cena, I think, was the weaker part of the film. Although I think he can get there. I do think he can get there. An action role? Maybe that's more up his role. We'll have to wait and see. So I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet. We'll talk more about it on the John Campea show a little bit later today. But it is certainly interesting news. Warren Lucas writes, better villain in the Gruber family, Hans or Simon? Hans. I think Hans is clearly the big brother. Simon pulled off a great thing. Good Lord. That is my favorite Die Hard movie, by the way. I believe that's Die Hard 3, right? The one with Samuel L. Jackson as Zeus. That's my favorite one. And everybody looks at me funny when I say that too, because obviously everybody likes the first one the best. I actually like that one the best. Good Lord. When Jeremy Irons says that, I just about die every time. So what are you doing, Jesus? My name ain't Jesus, it's Zeus. Anyway, I thought the chemistry between Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis was fantastic. I thought Jeremy Irons was great in the villainous role, but even then, I still think Hans is probably still the better villain. That's me anyway. Adamus95 writes, highly recommend a movie called Harry Brown if you haven't seen it. It's Michael Caine. It's just a brilliant movie. Oh, I've seen it. Hold on a second. Let me just bring it up here. And you know what? It's actually one of those films that a lot of people will talk about when talking about when talking about Michael Caine. Now, it kind of came and went. It went by very quietly. And by the way, I forgot her name. That's why I wanted to look it up here. Emily Mortimer. I can't believe I forgot her name. Emily Mortimer, I thought was quite good in it. And I think it's an underrated little film. And if you like Michael Caine, and why wouldn't you like Michael Caine? It's definitely one you should check out. Thanks for bringing that up, Adamus. Philosophy Cole writes, name Cole. Oh, Colin. Okay. YouTube Philosophical. Recently saw 91's The Fisher King with the late Robin Williams. 2007's Reign Over Me with Sandler. Love that movie. Better film to the same genre. Better pref RW or ASRTs. I'm sorry. I can't understand what it is you're right. I can't spend 5 minutes here trying to interpret what I apologize, but I don't know what it is you're talking about. Let's see. Stephen Dellett writes, the cinema sell pretty expensive food and people buy into it. Slushies, milkshakes, hot food, etc. That's the catch, man. Infinity War was only $3. Again, did you only paid $3 to go to the movies to see it? Is that what you're saying? And you're right. The cinema does sell. The concession prices are high. Again, though, it's a catch-22 for the movie theaters because that's the only way they make money is by the concession sales. Are you saying, Stephen, that you saw Infinity War and your movie ticket price was only $3? That's great. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that doesn't happen here, but that's amazing. Taki75 writes, if Ledger's Joker equals Oscar, why not Brolin's Thanos? Well, I think because of this. To me, there's no doubt that the Thanos character is... The degree to which a character is great is not 100% reliant on the performance brought to it. James Brolin did a very good job. But for me, 70% of the greatness of that character was the writing of the character. And about 30% of the greatness of that character was what Brolin brought to it. Brolin did a very, very good job. With Heath Ledger's Joker, I would say it would be the opposite. About 30 to 35% of that Joker character was the writing. And about 65 to 70% of it was the performance Ledger brought to it. At the end of the day, I still think I'm thinking that I prefer the overall character when you combine the writing with the performance of Thanos. I think Thanos may be the best comic book villain ever in movies. But I still feel pretty firmly that Heath Ledger's performance was the better performance. James Brolin did a very good job, but again, to me, 70% of what Thanos was the writing. And you still needed a good performance to bring it to life. And Brolin did that, as well as the visual effects artists and everything at ILM. Brolin did that, but to me, again, 70% of it was the writing of it, and 30% was acting. Whereas in Heath Ledger's Joker, I think 70% of it, if not more, was what Ledger did with that character, and what Ledger did with that script, and the personality he brought to it. So that's why, even if I think that Thanos is the better character in the movie than, say, Heath Ledger's Joker was, that's why I still feel comfortable going, yeah, Heath Ledger deserved that Oscar. I'm not so sure about about James Brolin. But we're going to talk about that more in depth on the John Campea show a little bit later today. So keep your eyes open for that. Let's see. Lee Mallinson writes, surely using the Infinity Stones to double... sorry, I'm not going to... Nothing like that. That's spoilery. Let's see. Blake Feely writes, decided to not go to San Diego Comic-Con this year. I've gone many times, but it will cost $4,000 this year without buying things there. Girlfriend and I decided to do D23 next year instead. Yeah, I am still trying to decide if I'm going to Comic-Con this year. Not sure why it would cost you $4,000. Well, I mean, hotels are expensive. Look, this is yet another reason, and it ain't happening anytime soon, so I'm just crying for no reason. They need to move Comic-Con to Las Vegas. I love San Diego, love that town, but that town is not built to support Comic-Con. Like when you have everybody having to spend nearly $1,000 a night on a damn hotel, if you can even find a hotel room, there's a lottery system to see if you can even get a hotel room. And then trying to find a place to eat that doesn't have a 2-hour wait, and you're walking like this in the streets because it's so crowded and so what. It's just, that town is not built for Comic-Con. Vegas? You could never fill all the hotel rooms in Vegas. I remember, what's the big tech conference that's held there every year? Oh, why am I forgetting it? The Consumer Electronics Show, CES. Yeah, CES, which is bigger than Comic-Con, right? I've been in Vegas when CES was going on, which is by far bigger than Comic-Con. And that city doesn't blink. There are still tons of taxis always available at any time, still tons of hotel rooms, easy access. The convention center in Vegas is nearly double the size as the convention center in San Diego. And it would just make it much easier, much cheaper, much more affordable, and much more accessible to people than San Diego. San Diego is a great town, and I love going there. The weather's perfect and all that kind of stuff, but just from a practical point of view, man, it's time to move this damn thing, over to Las Vegas. It's just time. Raymond Verada writes, thoughts on Hasbro acquiring Power Rangers? Well, I mean, I am obviously have a bit of bias here. A lot of my household income comes from Hasbro because Anne is a rep for Hasbro. So probably not best for me to comment on it, to be honest. I'm not the right guy to comment on it. Let's see if they can have better luck. Let's see here. Ray Lewis writes, Black Panther surpasses Last Jedi grossing. Yeah, we talked about that the other day. We talked about it last week and we talked about it yesterday too. I mean, look, if you had told me a year ago, two things. One, that Black Panther, a relatively unknown comic book character, to those who aren't, into comic books, it's a relatively unknown character, would more than double the box office's Justice League with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman. I would have thought insane. I would have had the same feeling if you told me Black Panther would beat The Last Jedi Episode 8 even by $1 million. I would have thought the same amount of crazy. And yet, here we are. It's just a testament to just how big of a phenomena that Black Panther has been and what it was. Because it's pretty much done its theatrical run now. It's almost out of theaters, but it's just remarkable when you think about it. Yet another example of just how crazy successful that movie is. Ike Moore writes, why is it hard for RDJ to open a movie outside of MCU? It's hard for any actor to open a movie. There's no such thing anymore as put this actor in it, it guarantees a big box office. That doesn't exist anymore. The Rock is the closest thing to that, but even The Rock doesn't guarantee that. It's not just a Robert Downey Jr. thing. It's an every actor thing. We talked yesterday about The Reconnaissance and Matthew McConaughey. He doesn't draw it. There's no actor today that you can put in a movie and it guarantees big box office. It just doesn't exist anymore. So let's not center out Robert Downey Jr. It's just that, he's not bigger than Tony Stark. He's not. And I think the whole reason we still have Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark is because when he was in the midst of trying to renegotiate his contract and all that kind of stuff, he had his movie, The Judge, with him and Robert Duvall. And he was the lead in, and he was the producer behind it as well. And that movie tanked. And I think that was a rude awakening for Robert Downey Jr. That people love Tony Stark. And yes, they love you, Robert Downey Jr. They do. I love Robert Downey Jr. But most people love Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. He is not as big of a star outside of the MCU as he is in the MCU. He's still a big star, as much as anybody. But let's not center him out and say, oh, why can't he open a movie? Well, no actor can open a movie big. Like I said, on the rare occasion, The Rock is an exception to that. But, I mean, George Clooney doesn't guarantee a big opening. Brad Pitt doesn't guarantee a big opening. Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't guarantee a big opening. Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't guarantee a big opening. Denzel Washington doesn't guarantee a big opening. Chiwetel Ejiofor doesn't guarantee a big opening. These are the best of the best of the best. And they don't guarantee a big opening either. So let's not say, wow, what's wrong with Robert Downey Jr.? Can't open a movie big. Well, no actor can, guaranteed. So let's just cut him a little bit of slack on that. Meet Kumar writes, can you explain how Thor's... no, I'm not going to go into anything. Nothing like that. That could be considered spoilery. Let's see. Donnie Yasu writes, how about that score of Thanos showing up at the end? Again, I'm not going to go into anything like that. Better twist ending, Usual Suspects or Sixth Sense? I think The Usual Suspects is the better movie. Usual Suspects is the better movie. But the twist of Sixth Sense is the better twist. It's like, it might be it and No, I Am Your Father are probably the two best twists in cinematic history. The twist in Usual Suspects with Kaiser Soze, great twist. It's great. But it's not in that upper echelon as, say, the Sixth Sense twist. I mean, that was the twist that people still talk about for years and years and years and years. It was one of the best executed twists ever. That was, like, lots of movies do stupid twists. Lots of movies do twists, but it's like, wait a minute, that makes it inconsistent. That twist at the end, that doesn't make any sense. But the twist in Sixth Sense was perfectly surprising and perfectly consistent with the rest of the film. That just made one of the best ever. Now, the twist in Usual Suspects, also a great twist, also perfectly consistent with the rest of the movie, but just not on that same level. So Usual Suspects is in my all-time top 10 favorite films. So I believe Usual Suspects is the better movie, but I do think Sixth Sense is the better twist. That's just, but hey, it's all subjective. What do you guys think? All right, let's move on here. James Bonner writes, after Infinity War's emotional intensity, I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp, a nice change of pace. I mean, that is really one of the good things about Ant-Man, is that you want to now, with how heavy Infinity War is, you kind of want to clean the palate a little bit with a good bowl of ice cream. What better for that than Ant-Man? Again, I'm not thrilled with the new trailer that dropped today, but I'm a bigger Ant-Man fan than most people. I'm still dying to see this movie. Paul Rudd in that role, Michael Cera in that role. I think Evangeline Lilly's going to kill it. I love Michael Douglas in that role as Hank Pym. I think Michael Douglas is going to play a big role in Avengers 4. I can't prove that, but I think Michael Douglas is going to have a big role in Ant-Man in Avengers 4. Let's see here. Santez Henderson writes, John, what are your thoughts on Krypton so far? I'm enjoying it. I'm not jumping up and down about it like I am for another new comic booky show, Black Lightning, which I loved Black Lightning. Season 1 was great. I'm enjoying Krypton so far. What I really like about it is they're really going out of the way to make sure it's not a Superman show. Like let's say take Gotham, for example. It's supposed to be a show that's about James Gordon in the city, but they try so hard to make it about Batman. Look, everybody, this little kid becomes Batman. Like, they do it it's like, oh my God, stop. Whereas, like Krypton, they seem to really be doing their best not to make, the emblem, the L family, yes, but they seem to be doing a really good job about making it not about Superman, despite the fact that it is connected to Superman. And it's being built on characters, and it's being built on the drama and the narrative and the stories and the twists and the turns. And, it's not great, but I'm into it so far. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. And let's see if the rest of season 1 can carry that on. Let's see. Let's Watch writes, after the intense ending that was Infinity War, I need a comedy like Any Man, and The Wasp and Deadpool 2 are like Any Man, like Ant-Man is what you probably meant to say, and The Wasp and Deadpool 2 I need. Oh, I agree. I think the timing of these are perfect. So we got Deadpool. Deadpool's just in a couple of weeks. Deadpool is just in a couple of weeks. I'm getting so excited about that. But you're right, coming off of that, it's a really nice palate cleanser. Outside of the MCU with Deadpool and then back into the MCU with Ant-Man after that, it's going to be a nice palate cleanser for that, for sure. To then bring us into Avengers 4. Warren Lucas writes, over under 30%, we get a Die Hard 6. Well, it's funny. They've been talking for years about it, but then it looked like it was dead. And then Bruce Willis did some kind of interview, it was just like a month or two ago, where he said he was flying into Vancouver, I believe, to have more meetings about Die Hard 6. And it's like, what? Really? Like the story was about something else, but it involved Bruce Willis flying to Vancouver or LA, one of the two, one of the West Coast cities. For a meeting about Die Hard 6. I was like, really? They're still trying to get that going? I don't know. Look, here's the thing. One of the brilliant things about Die Hard was it wasn't about a superhero. It was about this slightly better than average cop, but an ordinary guy for the most part, caught in the middle of this extraordinary situation. And then they did Die Hard 2, and I get it. And Die Hard 3, which is actually my favorite of the bunch. But, I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I kind of hope they don't do it. Now, granted, if they do it, who cares? Even if it sucks, we still have the first 3 Die Hard movies. That's great. But I'm kind of thinking, isn't it time to let this go? But I don't know. Bruce Willis hasn't given a shit about any movie he's been in lately. And I don't know, maybe if maybe if Die Hard can get his engines revving and make him like passionate, like that we're hoping for Glass. Like I'm hoping that Glass, that he's thinking Unbreakable was a movie that really was great for my career. I'm passionate about this property, and maybe he's actually going to give a shit and give an effort in Glass. Here's hoping. And maybe Die Hard can be the same thing. And maybe that will be a good outcome for something like that. But I don't know. I'm going to take the under 30%. I'm going to take the under 30% that it actually happens. I just don't know that there's any studio that's going to put up the money to do it when it hasn't been making money. So yeah, that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. The Real Napster writes, hey John, just wanted to thank you for the awesome content. Your vids just powered me through another all-nighter. Gotta love finals. Love your work. Thank you so much, Real Napster. I appreciate that. And I hope that the content helped you power through and didn't distract you from your final stuff by any stretch of imagination. But thanks for sharing that, man. Thanks for being one of the viewers, and thanks for supporting the channel. I appreciate that. And I hope you did well. All right, Josh DeRose with the Edmonton Oilers logo there. Airport scene in Civil War, Battle of the Bastards from Game of Thrones. Which sequence was the bigger standout in the respective mediums, film and television? Airport battle, for sure. Battle of the Bastards was great. And it was great in its context, but I don't think it holds a candle in the overall scope and like the way you word it. I like the way you worded that in their respective mediums, how they stand out in their respective medium. I'm still going to go the airport battle in Civil War. I'll still take that one. It's a good discussion to have, though. And you know what? I could maybe have my mind change. The better scene is the airport scene. But how they compare in their respective mediums for television, for a television show, the Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones was almost unprecedented. Like, almost unprecedented. It was basically Braveheart level stuff on a television show. So I'm still going to go with the Civil War, but I could have my mind changed on that, especially because of the very clever way you worded the question. I could have my mind changed. All right, let's move on here. Mike's Geek Corner writes, John, I did not know how else to send this message. I accidentally sent a price I did not mean on Super Chat. I'm barely getting hang on my phone. Please, can I get the refund? Oh, are you the one who accidentally sent in the $400 thing? I think by rescinding it, I think that does it. If not, there's nothing I can do about it. I had somebody else once have an accident like that, and they were just able to get a hold of YouTube. There should be a receipt or something like that. They should be able to process some kind of, because honestly, I have nothing to do with it. It doesn't go through me at all. So just check with YouTube. Just check your receipt that you'll get for it. Follow up with YouTube. The last guy that something like that happened with, he was able to get a refund processed. So you should be good there. So just follow that up with YouTube. Other than that, I wouldn't even know what to do. But like I said, I had a guy that happened with once before. He followed with YouTube. He was able to get that corrected. So you shouldn't have a problem. Stephen Dellett writes, please watch Ghost Stories with Martin Freeman. Wow. Thoroughbreds was amazing. I love Thoroughbreds. Too. I did pay that. £3 British currency would be $6 in US dollars in Canada. That's amazing. Like, was it a legal theater? Like, was it a real movie theater that's playing it for that? That's crazy, man. That's awesome. Hamaz writes, John, I have finally watched Infinity War. You were right. The pics did not ruin the movie for me. I loved it. Okay, that's good because, a lot of people were wondering, like, certain pictures come out. They fear it might reveal something too much and it's going to ruin the movie for them. And what I've been telling people is, hey, you know what? Don't jump ahead too much. It may not ruin anything for you at all. Like maybe you think it just ruined something, but maybe it didn't. This is like I was telling some other people that, hey, you heard certain spoilers, but you know what? I've seen false spoilers going around. So maybe the spoiler you heard was false. So try to not panic too much. Just go in, enjoy the film. And it sounds like you were able to do that, Hamas. So I'm really happy for that. And I'm glad that your experience of the film wasn't ruined. So thanks for sharing that. All right. Next up, Toby Miller writes, in the UK, our cinema View only charged $3.99. Other cinemas less, some more. Also, some cinemas have security cams to stop piracy and misbehaving. Man, I didn't know it was that cheap to see a movie there. That's great. I'd be in the movie theater every single day. If it was only that much. That's fantastic. Let's see. Toby Miller writes, Black Panther back in the top 5 of the box office. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. The previous week, Black Panther went all the way down to number 8. All the way down. It went down to number 8. But I guess with the poor performance of everything else, plus a little bit of a boost from Infinity War opening, it got back into the top 5 by like $700,000. So barely held onto the top 5. But we have a box office, the official box office of this past weekend, 2 MCU movies in the top 5. Infinity War obviously at number 1, Black Panther at number 5. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Warren Lucas writes, thoughts on the current comic book fatigue? Yeah, right? So how's that whole comic book fatigue going for you guys? Like everybody, it is inevitable. Every couple of months, I see and this has been going on for 5 years. Every couple of months is, now you can really sense comic book movie fatigue setting in now. And I go, you know what? There's no evidence of that, so I'm not buying it yet. 2 months later, now you can really sense comic book movie fatigue is setting in. I'm not buying that yet. I see no evidence of that yet, so I don't buy it. 2 months later, now you can sense movie, like for 5 years, longer. And now we have the newest comic book movie coming out, sets the all-time opening weekend box office record. So tell me again, and you got 2 movies from the same cinematic universe in the top 5. Tell me again, like me and my buddy Warren here, we're over here. Come over here and tell us again exactly how there's comic book movie fatigue. Tell me more about this movie fatigue. I'm dying to hear your explanation for it. Look, and make no mistake, there will come a time. There will. It is inevitable There will come a time when comic book movie fatigue does set in. It will come. It will happen at some point. Especially at the rate of which comic book movies are now coming out. Now that we're in an era where we're getting 6, 7, 8, 9 comic book movies a year, it'll come. It will happen. But I'm just saying, I see no evidence of it happening yet. It ain't here yet. It'll come. And then people will get fatigued of them. And then we'll go through a dry spell where there's not a lot of comic book movies. And then it's all cyclical, man. And then it'll come back and superhero movies will come back again and make a big impression again. It'll happen. But it ain't happening yet. So get out of here with that comic book movie fatigue stuff. We don't want to hear it. Let's see. Philosophy Colin writes, asked, which was the better film, The Fisher King or Reign Over Me? They are the same genre. Oh, okay. Taking into account whether Williams in first or Sandler in second had better performance. Listed Rotten Tomatoes percentages. Okay. Thank you. That makes it more clear to me here. All right. So I like Fisher King, but Reign Over Me, talking about underrated, remember had the whole discussion, what constitutes underrated? Reign Over Me is a brutally, tragically underrated film. I adore that movie. Fisher King was a very good performance by Robin Williams, but it wasn't one of his best. I believe Reign Over Me was hands down, no questions asked, the best performance we've ever gotten out of Adam Sandler. I remember arguing that year, Adam Sandler should have gotten an Academy Award nomination. Maybe not a win, but he should have gotten an Academy Award nomination. So it will really all depend on who you're talking to. And look, I'm not saying Adam Sandler is the better actor than Robin Williams. Clearly not. I think Robin Williams is the better actor, yes. But Robin Williams' performance in that one particular movie or Adam Sandler's performance in that one particular movie, I'll take Adam Sandler's performance in Reign Over Me, and I'll take Reign Over Me over The Fisher King. I mean, it's totally up for debate for sure, and it's all subjective. But if you're asking me my philosophy on that, that's what I think. All right, Micah T writes, and we just got a couple minutes left here, guys. Micah T writes, do you think Tom Holland will grow up to be an Oscar-worthy actor, or am I just caught up in how good he is as Spidey? Now I want to see his other movies. It'll really all depend on his other movies, right? Because remember John Heder, or Heater, however you pronounced it, from Napoleon Dynamite? And because he was, I mean, come on, he was so great in Napoleon Dynamite. Could not translate that into other stuff. And I remember watching him in Blades of Glory and going, okay, now we're going to find out if this dude's for real or if he was like a one-hit wonder with Napoleon Dynamite. And I watched Blades of Glory, and I thought, okay, it's pretty clear he was a one-hit wonder. No disrespect to John Heder. I'm a no-hit wonder. So, I mean, congratulations, John Heder, for being a one-hit wonder. I am a no-hit wonder. So no disrespect. But it became clear that we shouldn't get too caught up in one guy playing one role. Let's see what they can do outside of that. And we're going to get a chance to see Tom Holland do more. Look, he's doing great as Spider-Man. I need to see more before I have any kind of opinion about whether or not he could eventually be an Oscar caliber actor. I need to see more to either think yes he could or no he couldn't. I've got no basis to think no he can't, and I've got no basis to think yes he can. I need to see him in more things than just being Spider-Man. And he's got a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be coming out. And I think over the next 2 years, we'll get a much better picture about how good Tom Holland really can be. So far, he looks great, but I need to see him in more stuff before I can think no, he can't, or before I think yes, he can. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. All right, 2 more questions here. Brad Timms writes, Infinity War not in your top 3, therefore you hate it. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, that's inevitable. And the moment I said that, hey, I love Infinity War, not in my top 3 MCU movies, that's really a testament to how good the MCU has been. Not quite in my top 3 MCU movies, but I really enjoy it. I knew when I said it that, and sure enough, I started to get tweets. John, what's your problem with Infinity War? I'm like, what do you mean, what's my problem? I gave it a really positive review. Yeah, but you said it's not in your top 3 MCU movies, so, was it not good, or what disappointed? It's like, And yeah, it drives me crazy. You didn't say it's the best thing ever. What's wrong? Why did you hate it? It's this frickin' 10, 10, 10 or 0. Everything's either the best thing ever or it's the worst thing ever. There's no in between. It absolutely drives me crazy. All right, final question of the day. Perfect timing. Leader of Bats writes, would you prefer MCU recast or characters being killed off when an actor is done with the character? It all depends on the character. Like, for instance, let's say that Karen Gillan couldn't play Nebula anymore, okay? Let's say she just couldn't play Nebula anymore. Is Nebula set up in a situation right now where there's really much more to do with Nebula, or is Nebula really not, in the grand scheme of things, that important when it comes to the MCU? I would argue in the grand scheme of things, Nebula is not all that important to the overall thing of the MCU. Some people say, but John, didn't you read in the comics that this is happening and this is all going on with Avengers right now? That aside, realistically speaking, in the grand scheme of the MCU, Nebula is a really nice addition, but not vital to the MCU, then I would say, yeah, you can just kill off the character. If Karen decides to leave, yeah, go ahead and kill off the character, because not the thing. Captain America, on the other hand, I think Captain America is the heartbeat of the MCU. I think he is the heart of the MCU. Iron Man, I mean, it's just a really popular character. I'd say don't kill off Iron Man. Look, if Robert Downey Jr.'s got to go because he's got other things to do, let him go. Recast it. Get Negan in there. Get John Winchester in there. You know, get him in there to play the role. I mean, I know. So it really all depends on the character. So there's no one standard answer. It really all depends on the character and which one we're talking about. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for joining me. Listen, don't forget, 2 o'clock today is the John Campea Show, where we go over all the movie news today. We take a few more live questions as well. Make sure you're back here for that. And then at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, our next installment of the open spoiler discussion of Avengers Infinity War. Now, for those of you, again, I mentioned this off the top of the show, that you had sent in questions on Sunday's show that we didn't get around to. We're going to take all of those and all the ones that we don't get around to today and put them in another video that gets put up tomorrow that Ann and I are going to be doing. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today's installment of Open Mic. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.